What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, yesterday, absolute mayhem hit the internet as everyone, of course, was talking about GTA 6 that was going to air its debut trailer today, just leaking out online. And Rockstar decided to respond in probably the best way possible. They just released the official trailer early. We're going to go over the series of events that led to that, as well as the trailer itself that was absolutely explosive online yesterday. Also, we're going to be talking about more rumors that are popping up for the Switch 2, this time pointing to a time we can expect for the reveal, and we're also going to be going over an update for Super Nintendo World, as it looks like a big but also expected add-on has now been dated. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to hit that like button, helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with BioWare and Dragon Age Dreadwolf. This is a game that was teased, it feels like forever ago, and that's because it was like 5 or 6 years ago, and they've been doing little teases here and there. We've had concept art, very vague trailers. In this case, though, they finally at least told us when we can expect to have the official big blowout reveal for it, which this was a trailer that they posted up. Once again, a very vague shot of different parts of, concept art, things like that, for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, but summer 2024 is what they're now pointing to. And this is big for BioWare. They've been having a hard time recently. Obviously, Mass Effect Andromeda, laughingstock online. Anthem, laughingstock online. And now they're rolling up to Dragon Age. So I feel like this is one that BioWare has to have, because after Dragon Age, we're supposed to be getting Mass Effect. So that's still kind of way off in the distance, whereas Dragon Age is, I feel like, 2025. So big reveal 2024, and then we roll into the following year with its release, and then it's onward to Mass Effect. So I'm hoping for all the Dragon Age fans out there that have been waiting and waiting and waiting that they finally get the big new Dragon Age game they've been hoping for, and it doesn't turn into another Anthem situation for BioWare, because that would be really bad for that studio. Also, now that we're into December, we're going to start seeing more and more Game of the Year awards be handed out by different publications and outlets. And in this case, we're going to take a look at Time, as they did actually a top 10 of the different games ranked, and we'll just go through the top 5. But I will say, while most people are going into the Game Awards expecting that it's going to come down to Zelda versus Baldur's Gate as kind of the 1A, 1B, if you will, there's always a chance that one game could upset everything in that Game of the Year category. And in fact, over on Time, it appears that did happen. So if we look here at the top 5, we have Resident Evil 4 Remake, then Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, then Spider-Man 2, then Baldur's Gate 3. That's right. We have to go up to Alan Wake 2 that took home the Game of the Year award at Time. And this is something I think is worth at least considering going into the Game Awards. Alan Wake 2 could very well be that game that kind of upsets both Zelda and Baldur's Gate. I think it fits in line with what the panel and judges from these different publications really gravitate towards, and that's one of the reasons I think, years ago, Death Stranding was in there, even though it wasn't viewed as we'll say, great game in terms of the overall consensus from the gaming community. Certainly plays into the idea of that artistic, narrative-driven sort of experience that I think gains a lot of favor in some of these polls. So that's just something to throw out there. Alan Wake 2 could be that dark horse that ends up, we'll say, stealing the Game of the Year award from both Zelda and Baldur's Gate. If anything, could at least make things a bit more interesting going into Thursday. Oh, and speaking of the Game Awards, we now have basically a duration or a running time for it. This, we can see, was posted up by Shinobi as he was covering Jeff Keighley, who had a Q&A on YouTube, saying the Game Awards 2023 will run roughly 2.5 to 3 hours. Confirms Jeff Keighley. Of course, this depends on how long some of those acceptance speeches decide to go until the music gets just maybe too loud. In this case, I would turn the volume a bit sooner than last year, but he is also teasing fewer games ahead of the show this time compared to past shows, as there are more new game reveals. I think that's a good idea. Lower the expectations a bit so you can come out and surprise people maybe with some big reveals. So that way, people won't be really mad when Half-Life 3 is inevitably not shown. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Grand Theft Auto 6, because this situation accelerated rapidly online. I mean, this was probably a really frustrating situation for both Rockstar and Take-Two. But essentially what happened, of course, we discussed the idea of these fake trailers being cut and pasted together from things like Grand Theft Auto 5 clips, there were Saints Row clips, Flight Simulator, probably different things from MTV back in the 90s. They're just pasting whatever together and like, hey, look, GTA 6, here's the leaked trailer, and it would get a bunch of views just from the title itself, I'm sure. But we knew, okay, these are fake, and we'll look towards tomorrow for the big trailer to finally get revealed. Well, the actual trailer did leak, and it was a low-resolution version of it, and it had Buy Bitcoin watermarked on it, so there you go, I guess Bitcoin got a free shout-out. It did give us some information at the end of the trailer, and it seemed like at that time Rockstar and Take-Two were scrambling, trying to pull this very low blurry trailer, low resolution blurry trailer down, but it's the internet and people don't forget, of course, it was being downloaded and then re-uploaded in mass, so Rockstar decided, you know what? We're just going to release the thing. They dropped this tweet here saying, our trailer has leaked, so please watch the real thing on YouTube. Now, it's hard to say how it leaked out. Some were kind of mentioning, I wouldn't have uploaded it to YouTube maybe a day before. You want to do it much closer to release because then it's just sitting on a server, and there are a lot of employees, I'm sure, that technically have access to it, and then they can maybe take it and pass it off. Again, we're not really sure how it got out there. I will tell you, Take-Two will absolutely find out because they will spend a ton of money with private investigators, whoever, to try to figure out who got the trailer, who put it out there, just obviously so they can avoid that going forward. But also, Take-Two, we know in the past, very petty. So they're going to find you, whoever leaked this thing out. That's all I can really say there. However, we do have a lot to go over in this trailer. I went through it. I was taking some notes because there is quite a bit of information here, considering it's just 90 seconds long. So starting at the top, we immediately see the female protagonist, Lucia. This is going to play into that Bonnie and Clyde theme. Remember, that leaked out last year, and we also had that sort of that footage that was shown off in its alpha or maybe pre-alpha phase where we saw how the AI was reacting to the player in a diner at the time, and it looked like you're playing as her. So yes, indeed, we do have our female protagonist. They also show off the male protagonist again to go into that Bonnie and Clyde theming. Now, as the trailer's starting up, we do have Tom Petty, Love is a Long Road, playing perfectly lined up. I will give them a lot of credit. They've always been really good with song selection, not only for these games, but also for these trailers to kind of set the tone and stuff. So awesome stuff there. The world looks incredibly populated and dense. I think that's the most exciting part is this does, just from what they were showing here, look like a next generation step up from GTA 5 just from that part alone. The world feeling even more alive, and GTA 5 was pretty good at this, even though it released on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, but there were limitations then. Even with the PS5 and the Xbox Series with the most recent releases, still working off of that framework. In this case though, just looks like there's a lot happening at any given time, and they're able to kind of flesh out the nightlife aspect to it. Now, because of how popular it looks, this is brought into question, are we looking at CGI or are we looking at something that is representative of what we could experience? I kind of feel like we are looking at in-engine visuals, and it's hard to say what it will look like on, we'll just point out the Xbox Series S, where they would lower some of the resolution and stuff. I think we're looking at something that's pretty close to being representative of what we can experience here with GTA 6. So impressive stuff. Big sweeping shots of Miami flying around in a little plane there. Vice City is confirmed, as they made a very clear effort to focus in on that. So good stuff there. There are also a lot of focused scenes on social media posts. I have to assume that this is going to be a big target of the satire in this game, is kind of just making fun of the reliance and the interest in getting the likes, getting the TikTok views, and hey, maybe they can even poke fun at what happened with the game showing up on TikTok before it came out. There's also an alligator. They showed that quite a bit as well. Now, they did have this quick shot of a first-person view when it looked like a SWAT team or police was sort of breaching through a door. So we've had first-person, obviously, in some of the recent releases for GTA 5. Kind of expect that to be an option here. They, of course, have the strip club, which would be confirmed, and we all figure that would be there. They did have a shot of a fugitive with purple hair, a bunch of tattoos on TV. I do wonder if that's going to be a secondary character, but they once again did confirm, and then they also confirmed it in a press release that they are naming Florida as Leonida in GTA 6. They also showed off like a motorbike gang towards the end, and then just a shot of the two main characters, again, female, male protagonist, kicking in the front door of a convenience store and holding the place up, kind of showing off the petty crime where you start out and then build your way up, I assume, to like a criminal empire. Now, Rockstar did send out a press release, and they did confirm PS5, Xbox Series X, and S for the platforms. No mention of PC. Now we know what ends up happening with Grand Theft Auto, at least in the past, and is they will release the game on consoles first, and then a year later, sometimes 2 years, they release it on PC. I'd like to see Grand Theft Auto 6 make its way to PC immediately alongside of consoles, but just going off their history, I necessarily wouldn't count on that. And then also people were wondering if this is something that could make its way to Nintendo's next generation system, because it's not coming out until 2025, and that was one of the big pieces of information that was confirmed by that leaked low-resolution trailer, is we could still make out the title, Grand Theft Auto 6, and the year for release 2025. So there's a good chance, and I'm kind of betting on this, we're roughly 2 years away from release, because I think it's going to come out in the second half of 2025, closer to the holidays, maybe like September or October, and that is going to be a massive, massive release, considering the trailer in its first 2 hours is over 18 million views, and that's just the official one that Rockstar released. We know the trailers will end up getting downloaded, re-uploaded by other places like GameSpot, so you gotta go in and add up all these different views. What I'm getting at is this most likely will be one of the biggest trailers ever released, not just for video games, just in general for any media property. And for the most part, I'm pretty happy with what I saw in this initial trailer. I mean, it's obviously something that they're going to be advertising over the next 2 years, as we will get many more trailers, I'm sure, going forward. But I get the disappointment in the fact that it is 2025. It's what I was kind of expecting. I was thinking, okay, there's the possibility that they just call it Grand Theft Auto and then build on it as a platform. But Grand Theft Auto 6 makes sense, and yeah, 2025 also makes sense. So I was sort of already bracing for that year, but it's going to be a lot of fun just to see what we get in the upcoming trailers and how much better this game looks as they show it off, because I think this is one that will continue to impress people based on how much is going on in this game. So exciting stuff, but yeah, we got still a long road ahead of us before Grand Theft Auto 6 inevitably releases. Next up, let's talk about the Switch 2, because rumors have been piling up for this device, and obviously it's gonna get people really, really excited, and I get a lot of stuff kind of sent to me, and I'll admit I kind of just ignore like 85% of it, quite a bit. But in this case, it was at least gaining some traction online, and I wanted to discuss it very quickly. We can see this posted up over on Twitter from ZubiTech, who just says, rumored Nintendo Switch 2 launching early next year. Nintendo event in January. And look, we have it got real serious here. There's a Switch developer in the replies, this MVG guy, who says, do you have a source for this? The answer is no. Doesn't. I mean, look, ZubiTech does a lot of stuff on PlayStation. I get that. And there are many times they have posted correct information well in advance, and I guess they're the source for it. In this case, I think this is, you could look at this as more of a safe bet, but we also have, we have Tech Reeve here, says it looks like the Nintendo Switch 2 will be coming out early next year. There'll be a lot worth buying in the coming year. Now, Tech Reeve is very interested in they say the semiconductors for Samsung. Samsung, I'm sure, will be a part of this release with Nintendo, specifically providing chips, or people have mentioned the screen. There are things I'm sure that they could be working with Nintendo for. In this case, though, An event in January isn't out of the realm of possibility. I wouldn't be shocked if as soon as we get past this holiday time period and we get into next year, Nintendo does start laying the groundwork for announcing the system and then the road to its eventual release. My thing with this, though, is Nintendo, it worked really well for them with the Switch to announce it, like, officially in that big, remember that big event that they did, and then release it like 2 months later. It worked great for them. And for this, with the current Switch, I don't necessarily know if they want to have a very long road to the next system. So if they did have an event in January, a March or April launch isn't out of the question. But I still kind of think we'd be looking towards second half of 2024. Nate has mentioned March for something, and I guess that could be the full release of the system. I kind of feel like March, just ahead of their at the end of the fiscal year where they would be releasing information, and then I'm sure having to eventually talk to the investors, I believe 3 weeks later. That's around the time I feel like they'd be comfortable announcing the next system and then making sure it comes out in that fiscal year. So that would be after March 2024. But it's kind of a toss-up right now, and I think there's a lot of safe guessing going on, in my opinion. So we'll get through December, get into January, and then see what Nintendo has planned, because generally we'd expect some sort of direct anyway, a month or two into the new year. So we'll keep an eye out for Nintendo. I feel like we get through the holidays, they'll start talking. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Super Nintendo World, as we do have the official announcement for when that Donkey Kong edition will be opened. As of course, they've been working on it for quite some time. We've seen different images leak out of construction, and there's been talks about a roller coaster. Well, we can see this posted up. This is over on Universal Parks News Today. Says Donkey Kong Country will officially make its way to Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Japan in spring 2024. The announcement was made at a kickoff presentation for media at the park. The land expansion will include a new Donkey Kong themed roller coaster. Apparently their catchphrase for this is "play wild." They were doing a presentation, had the big card up there on the projector screen. And you know, they also released this this very quick, 40-second sort of trailer doing big sweeping shots and then showing it off. My biggest thing with this, and you're gonna have to let me know if this is true. I haven't been to any of the Super Nintendo Worlds myself. I think I eventually will go to the one that's going to be down in Florida. But whenever I see video or pictures of it, it looks so crowded. And to me, the biggest takeaway here is that there's going to be a whole other section for people to go to, which means hopefully it won't be as crowded then. In this case, this is in Japan, but eventually I figure this will make its way to all the other theme parks that Nintendo is working to open. And I think that's the best part. I know it's Donkey Kong. That's exciting, obviously, for fans of the franchise there. And it plays really well into the Super Mario themed side. And eventually, I'm sure they'll tap into the Legend of Zelda, which I assume would be next, considering they have a big movie that's now in production, the live action stuff, and you might as well capitalize on that further. But I mean, hey, it's pretty cool to see Donkey Kong getting his own section of the theme park, and it'll give some people a chance to breathe a bit and spread out. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday. It's the Game of the Year Madness. It's day 17, Spider-Man 2 versus Super Mario RPG, and it looks like Spider-Man 2 is going to be taking that one by about a 10% split, over 30,000 votes on that one. It's kind of what I picked, Spider-Man 2 going ahead of Super Mario RPG. Now, the one up today is interesting because it does include Alan Wake 2. It'll be Sea of Stars versus Alan Wake 2, and after what we just saw with time, I assume Alan Wake 2 will get by, but I don't know, we'll see. Sea of Stars, very popular callback to the old days of the Super Nintendo PS1 RPGs. Could it overcome a potential Game of the Year winner for the Game Awards? I guess we'll see later today. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Zane, who says, laws need to be created to not allow digital content you purchase just to be taken away. It's basically company stealing. It all needs to be renamed to renting if this is how purchases are going to be treated. I mean, it's all in that terms of service stuff, the thing that Let's face it, we all click accept in the next pass really fast because it's a massive wall of text that is a lot of legal speak. I feel like the biggest thing that needs to be worked out as we head into what's going to be mostly a digital future, and that's not just for purchases of movies or games, basically everything around us for the most part. They need to figure out ownership, unique ownership of these digital items. And right now, the thing that has come up around this is like NFTs, and that's like a dirty word at this point. No one wants to hear about the JPEGs. The underlying idea, though, is what a lot of us are thinking of right now after seeing this happen. It's the ability to own something digitally away from, say, a company being able to just take that item back from you. It needs to be unique and something that can't be tampered with by that company. So that's what needs to be figured out as we go along here, because otherwise it's just consumers giving up their rights of ownership pretty much across the board for entertainment. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, where there's the wild series of events that took place leading up to Grand Theft Auto 6 having its full trailer just released early, and of course, what'd you think of the trailer? And then what about all these rumors around the Switch 2 maybe seeing a reveal in about a month or so to kick off 2024? And hey, Super Nintendo World, are you finally gonna head out there so you can see that Donkey Kong edition next year? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.